It's early on in the edition with all our new dispositions. Where will you take your mission? Here we are with Mork Perry, the war chief himself, coming in with his hot takes, his crazy brain boy juices, and plenty of squig brew behind that beard that he's got going on. So how you doing, Mork Perry? I see you have gathered your hair squig and you have come to the Orks with great tithing. What's going on?
Man, dude, I am overwhelmed with ideas, things I want to do, and not enough Warhammer time.
Yeah, I feel like in general with how this tradition has been introduced to all of us, we all feel that way. Everybody's like, I just got to hit the ground running and playing games. That's kind of what always the advice is given right now too. When you're picking your disposition, that's why most people are defaulting to take and hold and purge. Do this like, I just got to get games on the field. I just got to get linear lists going and playing, because the complications of not only GW kind of fumbling it, right? They went from trying to drip feed us to like using a spoon to take it back out of our mouths and say, my bad, right? It was like really weird. So yeah, I can get why anybody's confused, but we're going to have a good time today. We're going to talk Perry's take on the point decreases, unit combos that he likes, dispositions he's leaning into or most curious on, and then just kind of where Orks stack up as a whole. So we'll start with just the points, Perry. What's going on with the point decreases? If you want, I can bring them up so you can look at them again. But I mean, what do you think?
I got most of them all memorized. And here's the funny thing about these point decreases. I don't think they're point decreases. I think their their GW's taking a step back from all the nerfs we caught back in like 24.
Now we're just returned to our normal state. Just in case wants to see again.
Like all these units, like, dude, like flipping not boys, flash kits. Most of these units that got major decreases in points, a lot of these were like codex release points. Same thing with the Dayton Bustas, and I think the Breaker Boys maybe too. Like they went back to their original points when they first dropped out. So, we caught all these nerfs, and they're like, okay, we'll just pull the nerfs out. We're not going to reevaluate you.
That's a fun way to put it.
Yeah. I was like, okay, cool. And we got some other points decreases. Like everyone's happy about Stompa. I won't lie. Like I do not care for Stompas. But a 600-point Stompa has had me looking at him like, I kind of want to play this.
Right. I gotta run it again maybe now, huh? Like I'm giving myself excuses. I'm trying to resist it, guys. But
so really, I think for the biggest thing for the points is, to me, is we get a couple extra units, a lot of fresh air for a lot of different armies where it's easier for us to plug in some extra trash units with some power bricks, but also like some archetypes that were alive a few years ago that were not as good now because of these heavy-handed point costs. Mega Knobs being back the valued at like, roughly 30 points a model for those
30 points a model now. Besides when you go to the third unit, then it gets pretty crazy.
That's great. Bikes, and I think Death Killer War Trikes. I think that's a package that's really cheap. It's really good. I was playing Bully Boys with those units, like just free bikes and a War Trike, and I was running one on each of my flanks. And I love that combo, and I was running at like, 150, 160 points. Now that package is 130, which is just
yes.
I think that's like an easy plug and play thing that, if I got 130 points, I'll spare it and I'll put it there. The plane's going down in points. Kind of exciting a little bit. There's some play there.
Only you, dude. Go let it rip, dude. So feel the guys. If you're happy for the planes, let Perry give his say. What's up?
Burn a bomb is handy. Like, it's just straight up. I wish you could rapid ingress them. Therefore, you could rapid ingress, bomb, strip cover, going during your turn. Like turn 2 if you go second. But alas, we can't do that. So it's a little slower on that one. So like I kind of want to see how the plays is, because there's definitely going to be a lot more people banking their secondaries and not scoring them as earlier on. So obviously having those units that operate later in the game a lot stronger have more play, I think. And this happens to be one of those. Like that's the Burner Bomber does just that. The DACA Jets AP1 matters.
Now it does, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you will rip apart other infantry armies. If you play an Orc mirror match and they have DACA Jets, or they just have a single DACA Jet, you're going to be harassed to death by that DACA Jet, and you're going to be like, why am I not playing this? because like it kills orcs. It kills other 1 wound infantry really well. Definitely when you're getting like a mech for +1 to hit or stuff like that. The other two, I'm not, as if it was like a 2+ for the bombing run on the Blitzer Bomber, I would appreciate that. I would play that. But with it only having 2 guns and a 4-up, I ain't worried about it. Blasted or WAAAGH Boom Blasted Jet, that's going to be suffering sins of the 9th edition for the rest of his life. It will never have its former glory. So every time I'm like, I want to make this unit work, I'm like, dude, I can't. It's just too expensive.
If I could get the Docket Jet for 100 points, maybe I would entertain it. If my opponent brings it, I'm going to be like, take the clock. Let me see those tides. Right? You're against my tide. Like, forget it, dude. I get what you're saying. It could have its moments for fun. And right here, Friendly Neighborhood Canuck said, Stompa 18 kilo cans, the green DACA machine. Yeah, we've been when I've already been running that since last. And thank you for the members chat, right? And he's responding to your Stompa call out. There is that appeal, especially because we're going to get our book. But that's a topic for a little later. But overall, on the points, it's just good, right? That they just gave us a little bit more. They reverted us back to a natural state. They knew we were struggling. They're not going to go through and rewrite all of our rules because we're going to get a codex. So they just put us the easiest option they could, decreases across the board, let them play, let them experiment. And I think that's really the fun part that we should look forward to. So now that you've seen the decreases, what are some combos that came to your appeal? You already named the trike and the bike, which is one of the ones I liked a lot when I spoke about it. I think just basic boys and war bosses are even a little bit more appealing with the new war boss, and the points came down, like you said. So trading doesn't feel as bad. Breaker boys and war bosses, like that kind of unit is the first that comes to mind when you're saying we took straight decreases to what we were. Now it's better in the trade, and we can get one more elite punching unit. But
sorry.
No, let's go ahead. That's you.
For compositions of units. I really think there's a whole lot more now to open up because of not even point decreases, but how some units function, right? So, like, obviously, like Tin Luda sitting on your home objective and getting that plunging fire and being hidden until the right time is there, that's a very real unit, right? Like, if that unit has ignore cover, and if you're in freebooters and it's getting blast, and it has it's more DACA, so it's getting the flipping dead shiny shooters, like it's rapid fire. Anywhere you're getting those things are anywhere from between 5 and like sometimes 8 shots per Luda. And that unit with ignore cover could be hitting you on 4s with plunging fire and what's called. And I'll tell you right now, I've rolled that unit a bunch, and everyone that's probably should playing a unit of 5 of them at least to just sit on your home objective.
Like that's what I had to. They're just sitting there.
They're not. That unit was not designed for this edition and how this unit's rules work, and it's really strong on that home objective, just putting down firepower. And with it having practically low knot on the second story until it starts shooting, like it's very real. And it's like flipping, it's just if you're in DACA, you're getting sustained on the wall. If you're in flipping freebooters, you're getting sustained on your home objective, and you're getting all kinds of different combos. I was like looking at him like this unit with a shotgun attack gun, which that's a big point decrease on him. That makes a lot more combos realistic because he's no longer paying a premium point. Sitting on your home objective, I think, is like one of the best units that you can use as an anvil for your army. Because it looks at 10 Marines and just generally removes them. If they're sitting in cover and they dare to shoot. Goodness be, you hate not using your small arms guns to shoot orcs away. Right? Because if you do that, all of a sudden this Ludobrick's going to look at you and you're no longer hidden. I'm going to blast you now.
That's in theory what they've seemed to have been written, which is funny. I'm responding to what you said when you said they weren't written for this edition. It almost feels like they were in a weird way, just because on their face, hitting on 6s you would think is useless. And then incorporated to game mechanics, combos, synergy, not have a real unit. But that's what we really, really lacked last edition, that just made us so boring at some point. Where you're like, I can't do this kind of combination stacking to any degree. And now I actually have that potential. So it's funny you said it's not written for this edition yet. In that way, it kind of feels like it was When you start talking about everything you can do, you can go to min-maxing it. You can bring a SAG. You can bring no SAG. You can bring 5. You can bring 10. You can put double support shooting where you can go freebooters and more DACA, blast on them, still have the rapid fire enhancement, still ignore cover, just go out, just go crazy, right? And that's something that we didn't have access to before. And we can't ignore cover and blast, just for people are wondering, well, because they can only do 1 for CP and then 1 enhancement. But you get what I'm saying? You get access to choose these kind of buffs in general. So,
but in freebooters, you can, because you get an enhancement for ignore cover.
Yes, and then you would have the reroll. Then you would give shiny shoot is what I meant, because you can't do a enhancement,
yeah,
and a leader. You know, that's what I meant. So you can't dead shiny shoot and all that. But you're right. You could ignore cover, and then you could do blast. It would be hilarious. But I kind of want to dead shiny shoot it because 24 inches is great. So that's the thing. But I'm surprised you didn't mention your boys. The mech guns.
The mech guns, dude, like they went so much cheaper. I was not expecting them to drop in points. And they got so much more play now. Yeah. Because let's say more DACA. Okay. You join a mech to them, a big mech. All of a sudden he gives them reroll advance rolls. And since they change up the detachment, he gives them assault. Because it is an infantry unit. Exactly. Right? And now they do not have to be wholly inside of the terrain feature to see through it. They just got to tip to it. So it's moving 3 inches plus D6, re-rolling the D6 because you got that big mech. And honestly, they're just moving places. And the custom mega cannon is so much better now because people are not having that, the AP1 is not getting blanked by cover.
That was your favorite one, dude. That was your favorite one all last. And then it's finally back, man. It's ever since the 9th edition when it was casted the Shadow Realm and put to 1 AP from GW, right? Now it's at a place we can start using it again. And I think the mech guns is one of those funny ones that also was slept. People bring it to the attention, but I think there's some play there for those long firing lanes. What are some other combos that you personally use in melee ones? Maybe MSU, bomb. What about like a Gaz? How do you feel about Gaz and Zod? We'll start with the epic boys.
So Gaz, I think with the Mega Knobs, with the new save mechanics, is so much stronger than he was previously. Definitely like the idea of going to ground, that unit being able to plug into most attachments, and Horus, I'm going to say more DACA because I love assault. If you've watched me before, like I'll talk about channels, like assault on orc weapons is something I think should just be on our weapons, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I push the mileage out of that rule for an orc platform. Now, is there other combos? I do think there's a lot of other combos for it. I still like the Mega Knobs because it's easy to keep together. That 2-up save, armor save, or 2-up armor save with that 5-up field of pain goes a long distance. Definitely, since now if you want to keep them in the wall, it's freebooters. Or you do a Blitz Brigade and you're just hitting something with them and getting back in the wagon. I played a bunch of that at the end of this edition, and that was probably like one of my favorite new ways to play Orks. Is just we're very last part of edition. And then another combos that I think that are maybe playable but is expensive is like Gaz with 10 knobs and a Pain Boy. Because when you're getting a Resurrect, second, now you're having that 5-up field of pain for Gaz at all times. And the knobs just, you have more knobs, right? Then the Mega Knobs are like very similar profiles. If you're taking, Power Claws, it's the same. But, the Kill Saws, give or take a good weapon, better weapon at certain scenarios, but other times you just want the attacks. Definitely if you're an attachment where like the lethals are just more powerful than the Strength 12. And that's a real unit. Like that unit can go into a lot of transports. It can go into a flipping Stompa. It's only 16 models, so it's great in a lot of different ways. Boy bricks with Gaz, I think they're still strong. They're harder to keep up, so you're not as many shenanigans, but as a power brick, it still does a lot of work. I think they're just probably going to be harder to, I would say, maneuver on the get-go. I think we get more comfortable with the decision and we get more ways to figure out how to place units and make things work, that's going to be very different, right? Like the fact that we can get a Gaz, a second war boss, if you wanted to, a big boss, Like a big boss joining Gaz's brick goes a long way for a lot of different detachments because beforehand, the power that came from Warhorde was sustain access, right? Having that sustain with Gaz. Well, now like freebooters can, you can put the Gaz unit in the wall, torpedo them out with the auto 6 advance, and then the big boss is still giving you sustains, right?
Yeah, the interesting thing there is it doesn't let you on the app currently, but we don't know. The app kind of sucks sometimes, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think TOs right now they get to really decide, but as it's written and how we understand it, that is their ability. And GW didn't change their ability, So I'm kind of still assuming that's still our ability. But just to put that out there for anybody wondering, app doesn't show it, but give app some time to maybe be updated in that sense or bring it to GW's attention somehow. But that's one of those things as well. Another thing was you were talking about the Gaz. Zod. You didn't mention your boy Zod, dude. You're a Zod lover. What happened there? What's going on with our boy? He came down 10 points. No one's talking about that.
I know. Yeah, with him going down 10 points was awesome because again, this was just a nerf. He got 10 points.
But Grout's went up 5. So
yeah, but not for the 20-man. The 20-man still stayed at 80. Which is great.
For Zod.
Yeah. So like the 20-man brick only went down 10 points. Now with that said, all the different potentials and combos, I can sit there and talk about DACA for days, but if everyone remembers the DACA Horde archetype that I was playing a lot early in this year, and then I compared it to freebooters, and I'm like, oh, freebooters is also really good with this, but I don't get the assault, right? So like, I'm not getting as much. Now you get best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Right? Zod can go 18 inches guaranteed, have assault, get blast, and dead shiny shooters. And also this Gretchen unit hits 10 Marines with blast for 2, rapid fire, 4 shots a pop, and 20 Gretchen is 80 shots. Okay, with possible sustains, hitting on freeze.
They'll have sustain on the wall. They'll have it. Yeah.
Yeah. And but also you may just be, they're maybe on the looted objective, and you just get sustained passively. And also, your 20 Gretchen are punching out 80 silly shots.
Yeah.
And things are just like, I'm like, this is not okay. And I'm like, oh, but it is. Just take it. Here's all these dice.
Yeah. That's good. That is because we know we can do it with boys, but with Grouts it's funnier because they hit better. So it's just how it works. And I mean the difference between 4 and 3 is negligible when it's +1 to wound anyways. Most targets at least. So infantry targets will say it applies. So yeah, that's also a combo. So you're still a Zod lover. Most people are kind of putting away or unsure of Zod because the size of the unit, coherency.
Yeah.
Right. But something that can go up and flip objectives on your enemy's natural seems very interesting, especially on that go turn when you're fighting it out, duking it out. And, people really just want to hold their natural and then go beat you up on Purge, for example. So it's like, well, if I could just lock yours down, then you're not scoring half of your primary game. And I can kind of offset that in that different way for a very cheap cost, at least how it is now. Yeah. So
there's also one ginormous thing that changed for the unit, and that's Scout. Okay. Now this is for the ceiling for the highest level players that you need to worry about fighting, right? Lower level players, a lot of times you could just turn 1, run people Zod at them, and like they just couldn't stop it, and the momentum they collapsed. But a lot of times good players learn how to play around Zod in the early game where you wish I wish I had Zod access turn 1 to threaten it. But I want him also a 4 because he's a very powerful rapid ingress. Yeah. But now you can start him off in rapid ingress, and like if you're like, I'm not going to torpedo him turn 1, I'm going to conserve him, which I think is the superior way to play him.
Yeah, that's more how I play him for sure. I don't recommend people throw him away at all.
Exactly, because he generates UCP, he holds ground, they do a bunch of stuff. But with you being able to put him off board, and the scout move says, okay, well I went first. So if I need to torpedo you because you set yourself up for it in the deployment, I can just deploy him on my board and then just go 18 inches if I go first. If I go second, great. He's going to be a my opponent's turn 2 rapid ingress, and then turn 2 he is going to connect with the rest of my army. I think that change for him is massive, and I
That's
think
actually a big, yeah, that is a big deal because he'll have hidden when he comes in. So
exactly.
before was the issue was you could risk it, but it could be pretty bad.
Yep.
Because you could be punished if the enemy understands target priority. And when you know a good player and they understand what Zod can do, they're like, he needs to go as soon as I can get hands on him.
Exactly.
So this is an interesting, wrinkle that you bring in there as well. That's something I didn't mention. So that you think that was a good one for our boy Zod. Cool. I don't think anything else you think you want to say there. Are you good with Zod? Any other unit combos you ever liked? You're digging the Ludas. You didn't say anything about flash kits, but I mean, I love my flash kits. I gave them some love last time.
The fact that they can get enhancements now is huge because the banner now could just casually join them.
Yeah, how do you feel about the squigs? They're not enough points. They got enough points. Kill rigs are pretty low. Pigs, squigs, or the Garganta. Sorry, the beast boss on Squigosaur is like 95 points now.
Yep.
Anything?
I think it's all really good. I'm not gonna sit there and say take ginormous bricks of hogs. That's not my style right off the bat. I still think you want to take 4-man squads with maybe character. But I think Kill Rigs and Beast Snaggle Boys and the Beast Boss themselves are a really good package, definitely with the hunt. I think everyone kind of learned at the end of last edition that the hunt has play. It has great stratagems. The units are decent. You have good rules. And they only got cheaper this edition. On top of that, we talked about, Scout on Zogrod. Well, now you have Squig Hog Boys with Scout also. And so you can start that unit off board, see how your opponent deploys, see who goes first, and then put it on. And I think that's a big playmaker for that unit. You can really read the board, see who goes first, and then bring that unit on and torpedo at your opponents because if they do aggressive or if they do passive, you can just keep it off board for a turn. And also, I just think some of the other support attachments with this, right? I think being able to take the rolling detachment, but giving wagons auto 6 advance and reroll charges, that's real. That's pretty strong. Definitely with the new pivot rules not costing you. I think rolling def with the hunt is a very real army as a composite because there's a lot of synergies here. You're getting pluses to the charge. It's just good. There's also another thing that changes is extra attacks.
Yeah.
Extra attacks do not have a cap anymore on where you can't modify the attack number. Now you can. So when you have flipping
kill rig with 145 points now.
Yeah, with cleave.
Yeah.
Right, for all of its attacks, which is handy. And then also on top of that, the WAAAGH benefits all of its attack numbers now.
Yeah, he's a real monster.
Yeah, it's a very real monster, and they're very cheap. And also cleave, they can also get rapid fire on the war tower.
I don't know if they can. I think it's only battle.
Yeah, wagon. It's all wagon. They are also in the wagon profile.
No, I think it's literally battle wagon.
Not is it really battle wagon? I saw it was just called that wagon, which all of them get the wagon.
No, in this case, I think it's just wagon.
Okay,
it's just battle wagon in that case. But I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure about that. Okay. But you're good. I was gonna say between the dispositions. Now, is it purge or priority assets? But before you answer that, I got a priority asset right here. The Bad Dog with 50 WAAAGH Tactics memberships. Whoa, to the Bad Dog himself. So thank you for that. That's what keeps the Great WAAAGH alive, and it's very generous of you, and it's humbling for me and everybody here. So we'll make sure we do good work so that it's worth it for any of the new boys that are spawning and keeping Orks interesting and alive this edition, because this is the Orc edition, Mark Perry. This is what you who have written the codex. If we had a Codex Astartes, what would it be called? The Gorkin Mork, the code of Gorkin Mork. You'd be the Mork half of that at least. So
yeah. I'm trying to think, what would you call it? The pages of fist.
So yeah, so thank you very much for that, and hopefully we spawn a whole bunch of new boys and they stay in the Great WAAAGH, in the Orc, because that's what the channel's about, keeping the Orc community alive and growing and thriving. So thank you, Bad Dog. And this is one of the gets I got to crump personally because he's within crumping range. So, so
Got insert
the Bad Dog. So thank you for that. You get. So now that the Bad Dog's giving you a priority asset, what do you think? Priority assets or Purge for the hunt? Now, let me first, before most people would say clearly play Purge. Some people would say that right away. I understand why, but there is the whole factor of our hunt target is one thing usually, not multiple. So it's not like we're necessarily going to multiple turns be able to like kill multiple of enemies units as reliably as we would like maybe in a Purge on Purge matchup. Yet priority might be too much actionary things as well. So what do you feel about that? This is not one I've been able to test personally, but I've been on my mind.
So here's something that I think is really strange. Is I think actually priority targets is something that Ork should have had more of.
Right?
I actually think that like it's very good Orky. Like Ork look at this one thing and like this, we hyper focus, and priority assets is meant to be like you're hyper focused on like two things. And like I think we have archetypes and ways to play that. I've played that way before with Orks.
Yeah.
And the hunt is already works like that. The hunt is, hyper focused on a few key moments and a few key positions, and it works with it. I think definitely with Rolling Death, you're having wagons going, 16 to probably with like pivots, like 18, flipping 20 inches and charging for a real charge. I mean, you got guys getting out of it. You have a free damage war boss, which is something that's rare with dev wounds against vehicles. Crazy. We already talked about the scouts. The fact that you can have Zagrod and the scouting Squighog boys off board. Look at your opponent. Okay, well, my turn. I'm going to go first. I'm going to bring them on and go first, get staged. Or you're going to go second. I'm going to be like, these rapid ingresses, you got to like do something about them. And like the hunt is fast enough that it can look at those units that are screening out your early, those screens and like beat them up, right? Mm-hmm. With a Vance in charge, kill rigs, but also Vance in charge boys. You're gonna have a few commando units to help block it, get those early game scouts or infiltrate moves, and then you just got lots of ways to play it. And I think priority targets fits with that more versus like having to play a Purge mirror match. I think that's the biggest thing that's gonna hold Orks back. Is there certain ways to build for Purge for Orks, but it is not a generic good thing for us to do because a lot of other armies that do Purge will do it better than us.
Exactly.
Because one of the strongest things for Orks, period, is we have good, cheap data sheets.
Yeah.
And Purge will punish you for having those.
Yeah, because it's a kill more situation, and that's even though I'm not trying to make people feel bad that I want to Purge with the hunt, I just think if you're gonna go priority, and that's the one time where I'm like, I really do think that synergizes much better into priority assets, and we don't have too many options into it. Being able to kill something and take that objective and possibly do that action in this corner of the field was more conducive. And like I believe Michael Mann said this back in the day, where he said Orks are a bully army, right? Yep. We're weak bully people, right? And I think that's the more way he said it, where he was like, against another combat army like World Eaters, they'll out purge us, right? They're kind of a little better at that at us in some cases. But in the case of you don't not good at fighting, we'll beat you up in that state. We'll bully you. We'll knock your teeth out. So I'm not sure if it was him or another great war boss that said that, but all in all, it's a sentiment we all agree with. And I think,
I see that that's something I've said before too, because like at the end of the day, we were not going to beat you on a 1v1. We're going to mob up and gang up on you.
Yes. So
right. How do we deal with big targets? We don't hit you with one big target. We hit you with 5 or 6. And then you're like, deal with us, right?
It's going to be you with the funny part where you're like, here's just 5 power claws, just kill the boys. When I actually finally did that and pulled it off, I was like, this is so silly. So watch the other video with me and Mark Perry talking about it, but it's a real thing. It's just so silly. But yeah, it is exactly how we play. So having a lot of little units that fight is always kind of how we've done it, which is a good part of this edition for us and a good part of us losing all these points. The last thing is I really like even though most people have already said it, Beast Boss Squigosaur 95 points, just give me a reason to bring them back and do some heroics for 0 CP possibly, or 1 CP to cross that distance line. So it goes with everything you were saying with the hunt that, if we break it down to a little bit more monstery and smaller units of here's some 10 boys, here's some 4 pigs, here's an individual Beast Boss, a Squigosaur, here's a kill rig as a monster with nothing in it, right? We're just using it to run at you. I think it'd be kind of cool. But since we're on the option of talking about dispositions and everything, Let's just move into dispositions now that we're done with talking about like unit combos specifically itself. So what are some dispositions that you like maybe a little more right now? I know once you had told me you were kind of enjoying recon. Right now we have the force matrix. We won't read and go through everything, but if we want to give a look, we can. If not, just here for visual assistance for anybody who's watching. But so like, which other ones dispositions were you enjoying more? We already talked about priority a little bit, so we can circle back to it. But what's another one that you were enjoying?
So I'm very much building it around my list ideas, and then choosing a composition to or disposition to synergize with that. So at the moment, I'm looking at mostly recon, not priority assets, recon, and take and hold. One, take and hold is solid, safe, and orcs generally are very good about taking ground. And there's some older theories like the Daka Horde styles. I remember that's, most of watch this channel. If you're new, you can go back and look at all those videos. And I'll tell you right now, all that stuff that I talk about back then still carries for this new edition.
Oh, it does.
It does, because it's the idea is you're keeping your opponent and controlling your opponent by keeping them off of objectives. So with take and hold, it already works with that. I wish I could make that style work a little bit more on recon with that list, but the big buff here is you get both more DACA and you get free Buddhas. And so all of a sudden you have your 60 boys, your free units of bikes, your free storm boys. Might I mention all the boys units went down by 5, all the bike squads went down by 5. Zagad went down by 10. Your 6 Meganobs of Gaz went down by 10. We have WAAAGH DACA now. So that mech gun got upgraded to WAAAGH DACA. And, that's probably the upgrade of your life. And that list just really functions well. And I think it's very strong even into this day, because now you have all the rules from, the best stuff of more DACA and the best of free Buddhas. The auto 6 advance for controlling for Gaz. Now Gaz can auto advance 6, shoot you. Right? And again, with that is like, Gaz eventually is just going to hop from objective to objective, and he's always going to be in the wall. Thanks to, for 1 CP, thanks to the detachment stratagem. And he's just going to go to the ground, but then they put out 6 Meganobs can put out 7 shots a pop with an upgrade of Gaz, and that's a lot of DACA with sustains. Like you talk about small, you're talking about like overwatching that unit. That's a very real Overwatch unit, because like if someone is playing like Elves Guard or something like that, and they have a key unit like a Meganob with 7 shots, you're talking about 42 shots from the Meganobs within 9 inches. Is like there's just a lot of DACA.
It's just funny, back when you said it initially, it wasn't as interesting, but now it really just is funny because it does work. It does. It does. It's just hilarious. It didn't work. It didn't, not in my opinion, not work enough that I would like push for everybody to use it, even though there was play. Like you were real. You weren't lying. I like their shooting too. I usually take the Big Mac with it, right? But the point is it was real. But now it's actually real. Like it will do something to you. And that's funny because people in chat, and I've wondered this, like 20 boys or Gaz. Point is, it depends on what you're playing, but he's for free Buddhas right now with more DACA, which is one of the combos that we like, too, is that's kind of how that would work out. As it works, you're running, they can do shots, volume, or they can do the dev ones if you want to save your clock time, and you can still accidentally spike a bunch of dev shots off them as well.
Yep. And you can blast off of them too, hilariously.
Yeah.
I was looking at world leaders. I'm like,
if before you go crazy, sorry, go ahead, finish your thought, and then I'll bring it back. I was
thinking, like, if I shoot Gaz is breaking like 20 berserkers, and I have blast rapid fire, so I'm getting each Meganop is pumping out 11 shots, and they don't have cover. How many berserkers do I kill with just combi shooters? Where it's just, I don't care about your pledge church because you don't have enough dudes to hurt me back, and Gaz is going to do the rest.
That I was going to say, so for reconnaissance, right?
Yeah.
Just for right away, though, whenever I try to think, because I've thought about reconnaissance a little bit, and I took it back because I just don't like those detachments that much. I know you do like the Blitzwagon a little bit more, and people do like it a little bit more for the in and out shenanigans and such. I just felt like there was a lack of killing power, and I'm not sure if more DACA brings it up enough. So it's just where are you really going for the 2 detachments if you were going to go into recon? Just because not too many people were saying that, but what would you say to that if you were thinking about it for orcs? And why recon for orcs?
Because one thing is, on my theory, is orcs want to be anywhere and everywhere they can be, right? We're an aggressive, we're a bully army, and we want to go beat up other people's units. And orcs naturally are fast, and our army rules are aggressive. So recon kind of flows with that, right? It rewards us for applying pressure to every single position on the board, moving up, sometimes doing actions because opponents don't do stuffing. Sometimes you just play, where you don't need to do any actions, and you're just like, you're free to just do whatever you want, right? And you don't have to worry about focusing on holding objectives. And I think that's really a cool way to play orcs, where like you're gonna I'm gonna just guerrilla warfare you better than anyone else in the game. And I think reconnaissance can do that. Now with doing it, we only have so many recon elements in our army. So obviously, Blitz Brigade is how I'm looking at. I know the speed one, but I just don't care for those attachments too much myself.
Yeah, the speed one or the Blitz one, or both.
I don't care for speed. I like Blitz. I really like Blitz.
Speed's a little funky, like it doesn't know what it's really trying to do, and the buggies kind of suck. Maybe if it, in the future, and if somehow we have a similar thing with the codex and buggies get fixed, I'll look back at it. And I have a bunch of buggies. I want an excuse to use them, but not in that case. So I think Blitz is really the only way to play it out on recon.
Yep. And I think like with that, again, you're taking a bunch of boys. You're putting boys in our storm boys in wagons, and taking advantage of advance and charge, on top of having a reroll advance and a reroll charge because you got out of the wagon. So also, these storm boys are so much more consistent there. And then like you have one of the best rapid ingresses in the game, a truck with 5 mega knobs and a war boss, right? That unit. So I did 2 RTTs at the end of 10th edition. One was a teams. And one was a singles. The singles, I got to bring the 5 mega knobs with the truck and the war boss, and rapid ingressing that unit was just insane. Because you show up because it guarantees any mega knob unit. When you rapid ingress the truck, the mega knobs thing can guarantee charge anything within get out free bam bam 17 inches of the truck. 16 or 18 inches of the truck, I want to say, actually. Maybe it's 17. I can't do the math right at that. Math hard. But that's really powerful with mega knobs, right? Guaranteeing that a mega knob unit can just hit something, bam, and then on top of that, they can get back in the transport at the end of the fight phase. Right? And I think that's a very powerful rule. I think also that, Gaz getting in a wagon, beating up stuff, and then getting back in the wagon was, how the army won games ultimately. Because you're like, okay, well, I'm in this weird position because the wagon is at my doorstep. I have pushed this wagon. I've set the rest of the list up to make it where Gaz is just going to solo the rest of your army that's left over before we trade a bunch. Because you can't just casually shoot the wagon, right? My idea is I'm going to make it where you cannot solo. I have 3 wagons. Eventually, we're going to end the game with 1 to 2 wagons. And in the end game, last 2 turns of the game, you're going to be in a spot where you can't one-shot a wagon. Okay, well, if I can't one-shot a wagon, there's a big problem of blood surging out of a battle wagon with gas. And again, this army is also wants to survive for 5 turns, put stuff all over the place. And, we have rapid ingress there. We have Zaligrad. We have storm boys getting out of wagons. We have 40 to 50 boys just for, OC2 trading off of stuff, simplifying the board state, right? Killing their trash, bogging down power units until gas gets developed over there. And flipping WAAAGH is good in that detachment also. And I have Snicker out. The list flowed really well. And that list is cheaper than it was in 10th because everything went down. So there's more to play, and I haven't really looked at it there. But I think with Recon, it's at 5 turns of planning of I'm going to harass you in all 4 table quarters for about 5 turns. And I'm going to slowly table you as a control army and power army that's bullying you, but really passive aggressively, and putting you in scenarios where you don't have good answers to it, right? You have to worry about assault ramp gassing. You have to then worry about the blood surge gas out of a wagon. Then you have to worry about, okay, well, I cannot just hit the unit because at the end of the fight phase, gas is going to get back in the wagon, right? So if it all suddenly, like, he can kill this, he can kill over here, hop in a wagon, wagon goes 10 inches over here, he gets out, assault ramps, charges, wagon charges, he gets back in the wagon, but he just does that in the next turn, right? Like, there's a lot of ways, and that's you using free wagons to almost juggle gas around. And sometimes your gas does get stuck. That's something I did find a couple times, but it never was crippling. It made it where I didn't win as hard, but a couple times scenarios, I'm like, I could have put a little bit more firepower, make sure that didn't happen, or the game set was already lost at that point because, like, also War Boss with 5 Mega Knobs just broke the flanks by themselves, right? Because you're too busy trying to play around gas. So instead, I used all my power stratagems on that unit. And then again, this is recon. This is just, you're all over the place, right? And we have one of the best recon units in the game is gas, or not gas, Zod, and WAAAGH, and Snickrot. Like, those are uppy downy mechanics. Those are all kinds of bases. They're flexible and they're hard to get to if you control the game state, right? If they're not just randomly deciding to run at you and say, I'm going to kill you as quickly and aggressively as possible, then you're like, okay, well, I'm not playing recon. Instead, I'm just going to fight the table you and do the orc thing of, we're going to fight and we're going to see who ends up on top, right? Then it comes down to a fight phase mastery. And that goes in the layer of, like, Zogrod can start off board and then come on board to vibe check your opponent. Flipping WAAAGH is the most passive aggressive mean biker I've seen in my life, where he can just sit there and chill and tell you, if you're going to be really aggressive, I will kill you. And if you're too passive, I'm going to rapid ingress, every turn to get objectives that you decide you don't want to put models on, but I wanted models there, and stuff like that. And he has Lone Op. And he also has Smoke. Smoke is a huge change for both Snickrot and WAAAGH. I don't know if you noticed the changes for Smoke Screen.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, at least WAAAGH, you can give people behind them even the benefits as well, not just for him. So, yep. I mean, that's cool. And it applies more to him than Snickrot, because Snickrot's little, but that's a cool part about him, in my opinion, at least.
Yep. There's lots of different ways there. Like, it's like the same thing with hilariously, Commandos also have Smoke, but they are probably going to get shot and killed.
Yeah.
5 guys standing out in the open. Yeah, just kill them first, and then Smoke's no longer same. But we have 2 Lone Ops that have Smoke, which is pretty cool. So that's kind of like the recon play is, like, wanting to harass and play those 5 turns. That's where I'm at. And
the thing where I'm at just is probably still the same, is that I just wonder, like you said, if he gets stuck and those little units that get out maybe don't hit as hard, and then the people purge targets kind of still chewing away at you, and you're not able to just OC flip, because they'll just have free heroics now. Like, I have to play it out more, right, and see how it actually plays out. But in theory, I'm not sure, because the damage, which is what I don't like about this detachment. I don't think it hits, that detachment doesn't hit hard enough. But I can see the play from it. I think Speed Wall is just worse, where I thought that one was going to be a 1 DP point. So this one, though, I do like it. Maybe I would like it more if it was priority, or maybe I would just like it more if it was 1. I don't know, but I don't hate it. But I do like that you at least brought it up, because I know some people do want to play recon, and I just wasn't seeing it as much. Was there another disposition you feel like talking about that you were interested in? Because you said priority, recon. We talked a little purge, like you were saying, your Tide purge.
Yep.
Right.
I think our purge armies, like, we can build some hyper-shooting killing list.
I don't think you mentioned that on stream. I don't think you've
not on stream. No.
Your green Tide purge, which is just a funny.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So the other comp that I've been thinking great heavily about is, ways to build purge. Everyone's like, purge is easy, so forth. The problem with it is purge mirror matches suck. Where if you are just not as good on the ever list as purge, they are at purge, you're going to lose. You're on a very back foot. And orcs don't like starting off on the back foot. We're a momentum army. We're a bully army. Like, if you stop the bully because you looked at him across the room and scared him, he wouldn't be a bully, right? And with that said, Green Tide I think is so buffed up by the new data sheets and how the detachments work now that a lot of their weaknesses I did not like before, because I read it and I look at it and thinking about it, I'm like, this army has a hard time killing anything. It has not flexible enough support to support the rest of your army, right? It had no range support. It had no support for anything that wasn't, boy bricks. That's been fixed up by a lot now. So with that said, advantages that it has is it has hard hitting units. We're getting 2 characters, right? We're getting 2 leaders, should be, and a support character. So like we can have 3 units of boys, 20 mans with pain boys, a big boss, and a war boss. So all of a sudden you have that green tide lethality because the sustain's helping you out. Your war boss is telling the unit to hit on 2, so they're super consistent. And out of that unit, you're getting big boss damage 2, war boss damage 2, knob and pain boy are practically the same thing when it comes to melee. So like you're getting a lot of power claws and high attacks and you're just getting a lot of damage to AP2 stuff.
And the Mordaka aspect of that, where you still get to do the Mordaka thing.
Yep, you got to do the Mordaka thing, which gives you access to purge, and those 3 big boy units get a lot of value with them pushing, controlling the board, focusing on 1 or 2 objectives, killing some stuff there, and then you screen out the rest of your field. You're taking the Ludas with the shock attack guns. You could take boys with the shock attack guns. Like take 20 boys, put a shock attack gun, put it on your home objective. That man with ignore cover hits on freeze ruling once. I don't know if anyone told you that's not okay. He can ignore cover with a CP. He can get extra AP if they get too close. Oh my goodness!
Nice little rocket dudes down there just for support. Yeah.
And so you have a lot of plays there. I don't want to take too many 20-man squads. I kind of want to take 3 to 4. 4 is just enough, or it's not max cold to horde. So you run it, kind of makes it kind of weird.
5, Mark, but I know you
want
100 boys. No, I get
Dodd is 1 free boy squads.
No, you're saying 4. You're saying 4 20s and then 2 10s. Probably is what you're trying to say.
2 10s with a shock attack gun, or you could take the Ludas and put them up there instead.
No, yeah, I get it. But I just want all the boys, though.
I know you want all the boys.
Okay.
If you got more 10-man squad of boys, I don't know what you would do at the moment, because like those free boy squads are so efficient. Big things is like, Pain Boy's always leading, so like he can always like if you just a Pain Boy is just alive, like that could just turn into a whole squad at like turn 1. If you drop it down to like 2 dudes and the dude, you're just gonna pop the strat, get minimum free back a turn, and that unit's going to be a hard thing to just keep dealing with, right?
Yeah, it's hard to not put 3 pain boys in every tide list.
Yep.
Right. You're just like, man, I just gotta. And you can hide him so he doesn't get precisioned as much, but it's kind of just the orc thing to put him on the line to fight and start stabbing people with their fringes and stuff. So I get, both sides, but pain boys just seem auto mandatory on 3. It's just funny that you want to take him as a purge, because most people, even myself was like, taking hold is pretty obvious there. And then I can just kind of passively, because the idea of the purge, you have to kill more than them.
Mm-hmm.
And they can still kill your chaffy type of units and end up with more than you. Well, tide seems like it just win more conditions sometimes, where it's like, I want to win, but I want to win big, which is also a play if people are trying to like do well at events, because it's your overall score. So I get both. I get what you were saying, because it's funny, you might accidentally counter a purge person because you're like, I only have a bunch of bricks and super killy stuff. Like, you can go for a couple of my little units, but then you're going to run out and I'm still going to be eroding you. Like, it could end up being funny in that way. So I don't know, but you did bring it up and I wanted people to hear it. So
yeah, there's a couple combos in this detachment also that are changes that you just don't think about until like you realize, you start reading and you realize player packet. There's no cap on CP generation per turn.
Yep.
This is one of our few ways to generate CP out of enhancement and detachment. So you can have Gretchen, Zagrod, and you can get 2 CP a turn with this list or with this detachment, which is something that orcs don't have a lot of access to.
And Tide loves that.
Tide loves that. Holy crap, Tide loves that. And then on top of that, you have all the pluses to charge. You have Big Boss +1 to charge. You have the Stratagem for +1 to charge and reroll charges. And then
reroll advances, reroll charges. Then you have this for the enhancement, and you have the Stratagem, and you have the big boss.
Yep.
So you just start covering ground like crazy. I mean, and this also applies if you play it with Tactide, right, or Bully, and I mean Tactical Brigade and Tide. Again, you still get other shenanigans in that. So either way you cut it, if you want to be more cunning or more brutal. I think this is the perfect one, right? Like Mordaka is the more brutal way, Tactical Brigade is the more cunning way, but you're still playing Tide ultimately. So it's like I want to see what wins out on that.
Yep. And we're one of the few. This is also one of the few detachments. I think the only one actually that we have a Blood Surge.
Yeah.
And those 20-man boy squads having a Blood Surge is huge.
A Blood Surge off the reactive if you fall back from them.
Yeah. If you're in tactical, that's so hard to deal with.
That's crazy, right? You're just, and then you're like, I'm gonna grow at you. I'm gonna grow at you, right? Every turn because you're pain boy, you're strat to regrow people. So that change of CP is very important for that. Like, so there might be a change, and we might, GW might go back and say, only one, and that's fine. We'll carry on, but all these combos still apply. But you have to be efficient with your CP management then, right? Yep. But as of now, you can do it. So
I think with all that, like, you're getting that stratagem support. I would love it if we went ahead and just got the new Armageddon War Boss, because he would be so much better in the Tide detachment, because he has more attacks with Cleave, and he would get the enhancement for all the extra strength.
Wait, who?
Armageddon War Boss.
What about him?
We can't play with him yet. We haven't got his data sheet officially.
Okay.
Right. So we can't have, custom Choppa with all the attacks, right?
I thought that was going to happen Saturday, to be honest. It didn't.
Yeah, I kind of realized I think the writing on the wall when we got the rest of them, like we got half the, majority of the boxes data sheets, and we didn't get those updated ones. And I'm like, I don't think
I'm giving them the rest of the week. But I mean, how are you going to get the box and not be able to play with it?
Right.
Really not cool for people that are new or intermediately new. And people are saying like, yeah, you have the card in the box is the rule. So maybe it's that the case. I'm just surprised that in the app, it doesn't show the new model, right? When you go to the app and you put War Boss, it's not the new one being shown with his new base. It's the same one from what I've seen.
Yeah. And none of the, stuff from the field manuals, supports it. The updated Weird Boy, they showed the Weird Boy being so much better with the fact that, when you go off board, it's you roll for any point in the turn, right? It's not the end of your movement phase to see if you jump. It was any point in the movement phase, and you can hold them off board if you wanted to. But then all of a sudden, no, we're going to keep the same data sheet with the exact same wording and not update the data sheet. I'm like, this feels really weird, and like, it's the first time I've played this game now for 6 editions. And I'm very historical. Like, I love reading stuff with old editions. And this is the first time ever in an edition where we got new models, updated models, and the updated models were not legal day of to play in standard games of Warhammer. It's the first time ever.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. You're right. I just took it as a poo-poo, but yeah, it's really weird actually.
Yeah, and Marines got it too. The new Van Vets, they don't have damage too. They have not got that update yet. So Marines caught the change. If the Marines got the updated data sheets, and we didn't, then we riot. But we're here. We're an Ork. We'll make work. We're happy as it is. But
so then conspiracy. When is the Codex coming? Just because we're on this, just for fun. We don't know anything, but
I'm gonna make a bet at the beginning of October.
You're saying that far out?
I mean, we generally take about 2 months to 3 months before codexes start dropping out at the beginning of editions. Right? It generally takes, like, think about it. Codex Tyranids did not come out until, and they were one of the starter, they were Leviathan's Xenos factions. They didn't come out until like towards the end of the year in 23.
I think it was only like 2
to 3 months. Yeah.
10 weeks for their book.
Yeah, that's
the box set.
That's 2.5 months. So if you wanted to wait to October to do the Orky thing, cool. Otherwise, I can see September.
I'm thinking early September. Just maybe I'm optimistic. I'm thinking early September. Or are we wrong? And these new because they're withholding the rules, they're already ready to drop a book.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's happening, but it could be that they're that lazy that they're like, they're gonna announce a codex in like 3 weeks. Who cares? I'm like,
Yeah.
no. I'm not saying they will, but it does make me want. I just making excuses or just kind of wondering for GW's sake. But it is weird the war boss is like that.
And the new voice. I was so excited to have Shudo Choppa voice. You know,
Yeah.
that was one of the things for the recon thing is I was planning on having like 50, 60 boys jumping out of wagons. I'm like, I'm rerolling advanced rolls, I'm rerolling charge rolls.
Yeah.
I have assault. I'm charging you at the same time. We're taking advantage of that. We are mid-maxing that reroll advance and charge with 60 boys. And that's just sadly not the case. I'm like, oh.
Well, that's why I'm thinking. That's why I'm personally using Tide instead of Mordaka. Also because just for time's sake. But yeah, just imagine if I got caught up trying to roll all those dice. Like, I got to the boss, right? Just okay, dude. I've been here forever. So that's it. Any other force dispositions you want to talk? We close it out. We're getting around the hour, and that's usually our time with our boss here.
I see that's mostly it. Like take and hold, I've talked a little bit where it just works out where Orks do it well. Definitely for some more aggressive builds.
Mm-hmm.
We said
I'm glad you brought up freebooters. I was gonna say because I feel like I don't know of anybody, any other channel. I guess I don't watch too many other channels, so that's really a weak anecdote. But the point is that I don't hear too much commotion about freebooters. And I brought it up, and I like the synergy, so I'm glad at least you got our back on the Morky side of that as well. Because that freeboot is just Morse DACA. That legitimately looks cool and I like good. And it's just what's my take and hold list. But when you bring Gaz in there, WAAAGH game, he's
holding.
He's holding, dude. Like in my experience, and if people overcommit on him and really do dig him out. And that being said, now that he's a bring it down target, that's kind of annoying. Just wanted to say that. Just that I noticed. But I was disappointed in that. But that being said, when people do usually invest in him, then the rest of the army still pops off. And I probably have something else on another objective that I'm willing to wah and then countercharge the middle. So and then the heroic changes. He's like the only interesting heroic. If he's always in the wah, then he's always happy to heroic because he's like, I got my feel no pain up anyways, dog. Let's get it. Right.
Let's get it. And then the changes for group rolling is huge for Makari.
Yes.
Because if you just hit them with the same profile, 80 times on the Mega Knobs, I'm like, Makari is not taking any of these hits.
Yeah. And I believe precision, they have to still see him. So if he's hidden, then they can't choose him to be the precision target. But I mean, I guess they could choose just a straight kill Gas. Because precision
I have to see that one. I can't remember that right off the bat. But here's the cool part is if they still have the Mega Knobs attached to them and they choose the group first, they got the feel no pain.
Yeah. If they just say all the ones on Makari, but they can't see Makari, is that a thing? I think precision still needs to be seen. I have to triple check though.
Yeah.
But either way, I think that's a cool underrated take and hold option. What do you have anything to say about Warhorde is taking hold? What's up, dude? You give them Warhorde no love? What's up, man?
I played so much Warhorde strategies.
Give us some love. Come on, man.
And the process of Warhorde, I played that LVO years ago. Okay. And my only loss there was Siegs, topped a bunch of super majors with that archetype for like 6 straight months of like super majors back and during my prime. Where I was going all over the place all the time, and I was warhorded out. Like I goffed out. I want to do some other things. It was one of those things like I can't remember if this was on camera or before camera, where like I've done enough orc stuff where I've mastered so many different things, but I have the freedom and faction mastery where I can do stuff that other people like. I don't know how that works because I understand how our codex and how our faction needs to work on a fundamental level where I can do weird stuff with it to everyone else, but our faction is capable of doing it because it's under a certain level of understanding, right?
What I would say, if I can just to speak for the layman, right, is sometimes people would, I don't want to like this sound disparaging, but sometimes people will just discredit it or just put it aside because they think that's only you that can pull it off. And I would say maybe for some weird cases like the planes, I'll give them that. Sure, maybe. But as someone who's not as prestigious as yourself, I've learned from our talks and use those lists as well, and they do actually work. And I think now more than ever, those styles of play are more applicable because GW opened it up with the force dispositions and the synergies we were talking about. So now more of them are not out of reach as you were playing them before. I think they're way more viable and more play. So that's a good thing. So I think even your style, it's not even disparaging the people. I think just it's so odd that people just immediately want to say it's not what I already do. And I think now is more time to test because we're gonna get a codex anyways, guys. So if you're gonna be crazy, you might be crazy now before you just have to relearn everything you're gonna do. So just go for it. Just play your games. But just I wanted to speak for the layman because a lot of people might be thinking I'm already overwhelmed. I can't do crazy stuff like Mark Perry. I think you can. It's actually easier now. And GW almost incentivizes you to play like Mark Perry now. So it's like, that's cool.
I do want to sit there and say that if something goes with that point is on depositions. Now everyone else, depositions are ways of play that beforehand were play styles more or less.
Yeah.
And a lot of players, even good players, do not have defined play styles. They didn't have theories of how to play. Lines to, lines are like a tree where like, okay, I take this branch and keep branching off based on the decisions that I make and my opponent makes. And it's very chess-like in that way. It's like, your opening theory is something that I've been very good at for a long time where I can build a list because I know how the list is going to operate for the first 2 turns of the game. I can stage it out and understand how I'm going to operate the list in the late game. And those positions allow a lot more of the players that couldn't wrap their minds around that to now wrap their minds around it, train, practice it, without needing other players to expose them to it and have these discussions. I think this is going to make a lot of players that were missing some, tools that make them like really good beforehand. Like they were really, they were good players, but something felt like they were off. Maybe they were hopping too much or they didn't have the extra thing to focus on. Now they have this extra tool to help them focus and really know what they're good at and make a decision of how they like to play. Right. Because this is just play styles forced, right? This is dispositions are telling you this is the way that you like to play. You should play this way, master this. Versus beforehand, Warhammer historically, for all the editions I've played, have been very creative. How creative you were with your strategies and how you can express those ideas and theories that you have of how this game is played was not on paper. Was a silencing or even high level players most of the time didn't understand it. And the players that did understand it, they would talk to each other and they would make themselves better. Like that's where like players, back in the day with Nick has a lot of opening theories on how the ways to play Warhammer across editions. Anyone that's watched a lot of Order of War stuff, me and him have had those type of discussions back in like 2019, back in 2020. And those are the type of things that like these depositions, these play styles have always been in the game, but they were not easily accessible to newer players, to inexperienced players, or players that just didn't have a good area to learn this stuff from another player, right? Like sometimes if you have a big fish in your area and you get beat up by them a lot, you're gonna learn a lot of stuff. And I think some communities don't always have that super big fish to teach him, right? Sometimes he just eats, but he doesn't give, right? Sometimes he doesn't know how to give because he's not a teacher. He just likes to fight. He shows up, he fights, and they're like, okay, get good. Versus, some good players like to teach the game and show this type of stuff. And this is a good way to teach and learn Warhammer. It is the easiest way to get better at Warhammer with the dispositions than it ever has been.
Yeah, for sure. Player expressions actually for once real, not just like a fun thing to say. Last but not least, do you got anything for disruption that you want to say at all? I know me personally, I haven't tapped into it properly yet, but I do actually have some high hopes for disruption. I'm just not sure if I'm going for it yet. But I kind of think Orks can pull off disruption too. I favor it a little more than recon, but it could just be me being silly. But that's just me. Maybe I like detachments more, right? I like that. What did you say? Is that what you said?
I know you like doing your actions, so it makes sense.
And I like the detachments more. So like it's just as well. So other than I like call to speed. Maybe it's just my red brain parts that's just kind of like go faster, right? Just trying to go somewhere and just picking it, but whatever. So do you have anything to say about disruption?
I think disruption has a lot of the tricks on different ways to play with it, and it's everyone's kind of like, we think it's the weakest one. Like everyone's like, who's going to play Disruption for teams?
Mm-hmm.
I think Disruption is going to be really good for a lot of those creative players that are going to play a 5-turn game of Warhammer and play weird stuff in a way that, they're not going to follow the rules of engagement. And I think those type of players are going to benefit from Disruption, right? When they do not want to play stock standard 40k retrade objectives, right? We're going to make the opponent be uncomfortable because they want to play conventional warfare, and we're like, we're not going to play conventional warfare.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that tickles, and Orks can do that. Straight up can do that. Like I've played those type of things beforehand. Not as much. I mean, somewhat in some of the strategies before in this edition, but not as much in this strategy. But I played a lot in 9th edition towards the end of it when I was getting more creative with my Ork builds instead of just playing like, hey, look, this is the meta Ork build for the week. Prime War. It's like I would pull Nick or Jack in the room and like I have this Ork idea, and they're like, this list doesn't make any sense. Nick one time tagged out, lost one of my Ork ideas in like 30 minutes, and he's like, this is crazy. Pull Jack, and he's like, you're gonna go experience the same thing and tell me what you're saying. Kill Jack in 30 minutes, send him back out there, and they're just like, I don't know what just happened to me. I'm like, I don't know either. But Orks can do that.
Jack say that. Jack has a funny way of expressing that.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's very much one of those things like you can play Orks and play unconventional warfare. In our lore, it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm glad you're not tripping. I knew people like you said, where most people were saying like it's bad, but when we first got it, I was like kind of excited for it when I did the full video, and then everybody's like it sucks. I'm like I still kind of hold by what I said. I haven't figured it out, but I do think Orks can play that kind of style where they're doing a little bit of everything on that whole game. They're killing a little bit of you, a little bit of action here on this matchup, standing on these objectives this matchup. It just matters. What's the correct combination? So I got to figure it out. But
I think it's about figuring out, are you a Goth? Are you a Death Skull?
This is why this was the fun part. Even as simple as Green Tide, you have a straight up, are you a Mork or a Gork? Right? Are you going Mordaka or are you going Tack Brigade? That's like that's what we are kind of alluding to with the archetypes, force dispositions, whatever is even at the most basic, what could be a black and white. It's Tack or DACA. Let's go. Right. So it's funny in that sense. And you still haven't given Warhorde any love. So I mean, you can give up on Warhorde or what?
No, I was actually thinking about playing Warhorde today. Like I was thinking about the back of my head. I'm like, I could play some Warhorde because it's just like, and I say this probably because I went back and was replaying Halo 2.
Okay.
And I'm like, I felt good nostalgia. I was enjoying playing this.
No, you definitely were.
And Warhorde gave me those same type of feelings. And I was like, I could go back and do some of this.
Okay.
But again, I just want to salt on my guns. As simple as that.
I feel you. I guess I just like some of the enhancements, like the Super Cyborg Body, the Ed Wappa. Throw them on my trike, throw them on my Squig Boss. Now he can actually kill something and not just be a slow boy heroicing and doing nothing. So I'm into it. But all right, cool. I think we covered all those. And for the last thing I gotta ask is, where do you think Orks end up overall, at least until we get our codex? You could try to put it like a tier. You could just say good, bad. You could just point out a few predators, whatever way you want to slice it. But just how do you feel Orks look in general?
So I think Orks potentially wise are like always a good solid B+ army because there's a lot of player expression. There's a lot of potential in there. The problem is, if anyone that reads and understands Orks knows that Orks, you never know when you show up and play an Ork player. Is this a cunning get? Or is this a get that, is brutal? And if you don't have those levels of cunning, you're going to realize real fast, okay, this Ork player is not as much of a threat. And it's about increasing, your brain, your big boys.
Yeah, you definitely need some cunning as an Ork. You can't be all brutal because you'll definitely lose a lot more than you want to.
I've been to territories where like they sought the head Ork players, and they're like, I crush Orks all the time. And I show up and whoop all the guys that normally work Orks, and I'm like, I've never experienced Orks like this before.
Yeah, I hear that all the time.
Yeah. What was it? Garrett from Objective Secured on YouTube. He also plays Orks, and the first time I played, he's like, I understand what Orks do, and he played my Orks. I'm like, I've never seen him play like that before. I've never thought about that, right? And I think it's a lot of, Orks not being a identifiable, this is our combat doctrine, this is how we do things. The successful one is when you achieve that big boss level. When do you get to be the big boss, right? What are you going to be? You know, I consider myself more of a big mech. I like to build things, and I like to see what happens, and sometimes just die because I pressed the wrong button. That happens. Yeah. I'll like it's dread mob. Like if I had to choose an orc, I'm a big mech. And I probably would be in the dread mob. I don't know. There's lots of different ways, but it's all about you as a player expression. I think orcs have a high ceiling, but they have an incredibly high floor also. And that's one of the things that runs a lot of times when you're playing with them. Like, yep, I'm just enjoying the wall. I'm just enjoying this. Versus the few select orcs that are really special that are trying to be that next level. That's a very steep hill.
I think orcs are not as much as a theory army as playing it. Like, you can just kind of, sometimes you can just damage, or not to be mean to Necrons, but Necron it out, or sometimes how Dark Angels used to play where they could just go stand in the objectives and be tough. Like, orcs don't really have that style, and GW doesn't really favor us playing that way. And when you do, you just get tabled because we're more like bullies. So it is a repetition alongside the theory-laden thing. So, like, obviously, Mark Perry has a bunch of theories, but he actually goes out there and rums them and reps them, right? And theories I put forward or what I play. I started loving Dreadmob and Cult of Speed a year before people even cared to bring them up again, just because I liked playing them, and I had to get like my face ripped off the first couple times I played Cult of Speed. And I was like, oh, I do no damage, right? And then like a year later, people are like, Cult of Speed, oh, I do no damage. I was like, yeah, dude, I feel you on that, right? So it does take reps as orcs as a whole, no matter how good your theories could be, right? Even if we're here, like I'm saying, theoretically, disruption could be good. Mark Perry's like, theoretically, it could be. First couple times though, I'm gonna be picking up teeth off the floor. So like, hold on, I figured this out. Like, so yeah.
I will state that I think orcs are a very strong theory army, but there's a certain level of mastery. Like me,
you gotta play.
Like, I don't get reps. I don't play this game. I show up to tournaments with lists I've never played before, and
that's
I just
you though. Don't you?
That's
me. Can't do that. All right.
Yeah. Get your reps, learn, but develop and sync. I'm trying to see when was the last time I had a practice game. I think it's been like 3 months.
Yeah. And that's fine. In that case, you are the exception, right? No one else is.
Right.
I would advise that too. And if
I did that,
don't
look at me as the rule. I'm the possibility.
Yeah. So yeah. Any other points you want to make? Are you feeling good? You happy? We gonna meet back again when you're ready to play it out more and get more things you actually are really stuck with and committed to. I'm not committed yet to a disposition necessarily or a detachment, which is the fun part. All right. Yep. So,
I mean, I think he's just going to have a good crumping time and do work things and realize that, like, there's lots of different ways. Figure out what type of git you are. Focus on what type of git you are, and then start beating.
There we go. And that's what we got to say. Of course, thank you to the Bad Dog. We're going to try to, make it all worth it here for guys like the Bad Dog and everybody he supports. That's what we're here for. So it might be confusing and having a hard time, but you stick with the Great Wall and you'll be here for a good time. Probably not a long time though, because you get blown up. But hey, you'll be respawned to the Great Green. So any last words, Mark Perry, before we go?
Remember, if you don't subscribe, this boss, you're going to kick your teeth in.
Oh, there's only one thing to remember is don't cross our wall because we'll knock your teeth out.